Well, good morning, everybody. It is a very bright, sunny, very early morning. I have my coffee. So we have a busy couple of days, and it's, as you can see, my little reindeer. It is officially Christmas time, so I'm going to be spending the next couple of days getting my few decorations out. We don't decorate a lot, but I'll show you what it looks like there next time. But also today, because we have a storm coming, so I'm going to get a couple of cooking projects out of the way. One is the cabbage rolls, and the other is we're just going to be making a yellow pea and ham soup for dinner in the crock pot. But let's start with that spinach that I showed you the other day. So this is what I did with the spinach. Okay, so grab a bowl here. Thought I'd tell you what we were doing for dinner. Now, these are just pork loins, guys. These are just ones that we picked up. It was a good deal. I'm gonna take off the skinnier ends because we'll make cutlets out of those. Just put them in the bowl. Now the hard part is trying to figure out which one's gonna work the best. So what's gonna happen is I'm basically gonna slice it and unroll it. This one's a little bit of an odder shape, so let's try this one. It's not an actual recipe we follow. It's just something that we've done for quite a while. And it's kind of like a slight Greek inspired. So let me show you what we're doing. A little fat on the one end. Oh well, let's see here. Okay, definitely not pretty, but it'll work. So let me wash these hands real quick. Okay. So we got a little bit of lemon zest. The lemon won't go to waste. This will go in my water. So this is the spinach that we cooked up earlier. Now I didn't chop it up. It's just lightly sauteed and sweated out with some garlic. So that goes in the pork. This is something Fred and I have made a lot. We don't really follow a recipe for this. We just kind of roll it all up. Tastes good. This is what we do. We'll sprinkle in the lemon zest. Kind of spread it out as best as I can. And then this is where the recipe goes where my mother won't eat it. My mother does not like feta cheese. We actually really do like feta cheese quite a bit. Feta cheese is getting spendy, so it's not something we eat a lot of anymore. And this feta cheese is so hard to get out of the container. There we go. And we just crumple the feta inside. It's probably a little bit more feta than normal, but that's okay. I have said it before, I will say it again. You can never go wrong with cheese. And then this is where it gets a little messy. It's kind of like a stretch roll because, you know, pork stretches. There we go. Let me go see if I can find twine. If not, we may be using toothpicks. So this is the pan here that we cooked the spinach and the garlic in. So I'm gonna add a little bit more oil. I'm gonna move that back. I've already melted one thing today. Alrighty, Let's get a little bit of oil hot in here. A little bit more than probably you do, but also, oops, gonna reach across and turn the oven on. Okay, so here's our little pork loin. So now I'm using this pan because this pan here will actually go in the oven with our little pork loin. So alrighty, dinner in the oven. So it's going to be garlic mashed potatoes and probably broccoli to go with that. We'll be back later. And with such a busy day ahead of us, we are going to get dinner going now. This is just leftover ham, guys. Now, yellow bean and ham soup is ridiculously easy to make. All I did is I just put the ham in the crock pot and, of course, the yellow peas that I had been soaking all night. Now, I added some chicken stock, some water, and then dried onions and some dried roasted garlic. Mostly because I did a lot of chopping, a lot of cooking, so I just didn't have the time or the patience to cut up onions for more than one meal. But hey, either way, it still came out fabulous, tastes great, and it was definitely worth the time in the crock pot. Yeah, so the hardest part of making cabbage rolls, the one part that I hate, but I love the result, it's getting that thing out of the cabbage. All right, now I know this is not a carving knife, it is just a steak knife, but I'm gonna try it this way. Carving knives, they're a little big. Run the risk of cutting too far, of course, into the cabbage. And they run the risk of cutting yourself, which I really don't want to do. All right, let me get this out and then we'll get this ball rolling. Well, it's not pretty, but it looks like we'll be able to get quite a few leaves off. All right, step 2. Well, the water's not boiling yet, but we're not going to waste these outside leaves since it's still just kind of warming up. I'm going to kind of cook these a little bit because they'll go on the bottom of our dishes, just so nothing sticks, right? Well, doing the cabbage will take some time, and even though these outside leaves aren't quite cooked enough because this water is taking forever to boil because there's so much of it, I am going to get this cabbage in now. So I did take a little bit more out of the core. Let's see how this is going to go for us. I'm hoping there's enough water in here. Oh my gosh. All right. I didn't put enough water in. Let's fill it up. Well, this is definitely going to take some time. So the neat thing is, a couple of these leaves are actually loose enough that they will wiggle off. So we'll just kind of cook some loose leaves and the cabbage. The hard part is keeping track of which leaf comes off next. So these leaves will cook. We'll just keep peeling this off. We'll get them in the tray that I've lined with some paper towel just to kind of help control the water. And then we'll get the filling made. I tell you, cabbage rolls take time, but wow, do they ever taste good. Anyway, I'm gonna keep doing this, guys. See how many I can wiggle off, and then we'll get this fabulous food put together. Time to get the rest of this prepped. Onions and garlic and the core. This guy here, which is still pretty warm, he's not gonna go to waste. We're actually gonna chop some of that up and put it in our filling. So, time to get the onion done. Look at the size of that garlic clove. Man, we grow big garlic on this island. We broke out the big pan. All right, we'll saute these for a minute. While these are going, I'm gonna get the rice started. Cabbage rolls are not a short process at all. So it does take some time. There's some steps. Now we make kind of a non-traditional cabbage roll. I'll see if I can find you a traditional cabbage roll. Maybe I'll link that down below. But this is the way my mother used to make them. Kind of, sort of. I had changed it a little bit, but not by much. And it's, I don't know, it's just the way I like it. So I am going to finish cooking the rice. By the way, I am cooking the rice in the water that we cooked the cabbage in. Why not? It's got some fabulous cabbagey flavor. We'll cook it all up. So I'm going to finish all this and get the filling together, and we'll roll all these up. Well, guys, our filling is done. Whoops. The bottom of the pan's still a little warm. And in case you're wondering, all I put in this is soy sauce, Worcester sauce, and some pepper. That's it. I didn't put any salt because there's enough salt in soy sauce. I have my 3 little pans here. So let's start rolling. So now these big old leaves, like I said, we kept. We're just gonna tuck one of those kind of in the bottom. Doesn't have to be pretty. It's just for kind of help us out. That one's a little big. Oh, that's even better. Doesn't have to be pretty. So, rolling cabbage rolls are pretty easy. You don't necessarily want that big core though, so we're gonna pull the core out. There we go. Grab a spoonful. All right, let's see how messy the first one is. Oh, well, that's not too bad. Ta-da! Alrighty, I'm gonna keep rolling. Well, this is the last pan, guys. But let me actually walk you through how I roll these up. So we've got our leaf, and I cut the core out. Make it a little easier. Why did I pick the knife up? Put some of your filling in, however much you like. Now when I roll them, I actually kind of flip those 2 little ends over, and that gives me some really good tuck power. Fold in the sides and give it a roly-roly. That's how I roll mine up. And let's see, got enough filling for 2 more little ones. And then that's it for this part. 1, 2, 3. So we grew up not doing the traditional sauce. We actually grew up with this stuff. Now I do have a jar of tomato sauce just in case we need it, but let's pour this on and see how much we have. Well, that's the cabbage rolls ready to go. Now it seems like I put a lot of that garden cocktail in there, and it does seem, like I said, a lot, but the rice is not 100% cooked. So a lot of that liquid will kind of go in and cook the rest of the rice as it steams. Now, if I was cooking these right away, I'd just throw some of those cabbage leaves on top, put it in the oven, do its thing. 2 of these are gonna go in the freezer, one's for tomorrow, and so there'll be cabbage leaves on the one. But now I need to make a space in the freezer to freeze those before I put the tin foil on top, because if I do it after, I will just make a mess if I put the tin foil on now and then put them in the freezer. So yeah. So the only thing left is the rest of our bean and ham soup that we're having tonight. Okay guys, it's awfully dark in here, isn't it? The weather's kind of taking its turn. We have a storm coming, but they are hard as a rock, but obviously this one was not flat. All right, so I am reusing a little bit of aluminum foil for these. So I have the one in the oven for dinner. These guys will go in the freezer for later on. Alrighty, these guys will be all right here for now. And the last thing is our soup. The soup is done. Now I save these containers. There's no sense in letting them go to waste. But here's our soup. So this is for dinner tonight. I needed it to get cold, so I put it in the fridge, whatever that thing is that you keep the milk in. Alrighty. Dish this up. Alrighty. And the rest is for dinner. So that is cabbage rolls. That is our soup. But when it comes to that soup, as soon as I can figure out where it is. There it is. There we go. Now that soup is kind of like my knockoff of this thing. Now these, we really like these soups. We always have. They're really, really tasty. That was really, really loud. But unfortunately, like everything else in the world, it's getting really expensive. So my knockoff of that soup is just the same dried yellow peas you can get in the store. Ham, carrots. I did put some of the cabbage from when we made those cabbage rolls earlier today. And make a cheater version. Why not? It tastes really good. Now, I'm going to warn you, though. If you have ever cooked with a dried yellow pea, the skins actually end up coming off the pea, and then they float to the top. So when you use the dried yellow peas in the crock pot, it's a little bit more of a pain in the neck to deal with. Now, if you're not going to use the crock pot, cook the peas first. Take all the skins off the top, just so you know. I don't want you guys to freak out saying, hey, Tammy made pea and ham soup. I want to try that. Just letting you know now, the skins come off the peas, okay? But that's it for this week, guys. As you can see, I got the tree up over there. I'm going to go through. I'm going to finish decorating, I think, on the weekend. And we'll talk about that next week, okay? So thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support and the comments and messages, so keep them coming. I'll be here, and come along with us as we continue on with our simpler life on PEI. You guys have a great day.